join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
The missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and that the mother has went through a wall, came home, now they can't find her.
Chad, where are Lori's kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Once I told a lie, and I told my family, I had to keep lying.
McSherman is a demon.
We haven't cleared anybody.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for being here for another ATS News live stream. We are doing our usual Thursday night routine, which is a deep dive into the Chris Watts case. This case, of course, is closed and no longer active, but a lot of you guys love to do these deep dives. So here we are for another one. And thank you to my sound guy, Johnny, letting me know everything's good to go. And hello, Being Bio Girl, Jen. So glad to see you, Jay. Nana Banana's here. Kayla, Paul's here. Roxanne, I hope your football team is winning, or whoever you wanted to win. And Florida Bass Fishing, Planet Jace, Keenly. If I missed you guys, hey Tony, everyone else, Angie, we've just got some stuff to get into. So hello everybody who is here. Hit that like button if you haven't hit the like yet. Also, of course, subscribe as well. And yeah, let's get into it. So this was a topic that was actually suggested by one of our live chatters. So I know some people get annoyed. Why do you always say hi to the chat? Blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, you guys are part of the channel as well. And you guys bring up good insight and good points. And, you know, they asked me to go through the text message between Nicole Kessinger, the mistress of Chris Watts, and her friend Charlotte. Now, why are these messages significant? Well, if you read into them and you see the verbiage and then you know what ends up taking place in this crime, it's enough to kind of make you raise your eyebrow and you know, kind of question like, okay, so did Nicole like children or not? Also, her telling, you know, the agent that none of her friends knew about Chris. And she says, oh, it's too soon. You know, people come and go so much. Dating nowadays sucks. Come to find out, you know, that was a blatant lie. And, you know, she did tell her friend Charlotte for a fact that we know of. I believe that other friends knew as well. Hey, Melly, good to see you. But it's just, to me, clear as day in their text messages that she told Charlotte about Chris. So why she tried to lie and play off that none of her friends knew about Chris, I don't know. She's done a lot of things in this case and lied a lot. And we are all wondering, like, why? So let's start off with the discovery files. The synopsis in the discovery file. So I'm going to do some reading, and then we've got another read through, and the other read through in the discovery is going to be her text messages between Charlotte. So mind you, she asked Charlotte to delete everything between them. And some of the text messages with NK and Charlotte does seem like some stuff is missing, and that they did in fact delete some of it. So that's unfortunate. Now, all that deleted stuff and every phone forensics could have been brought up and re-examined had this investigation proceeded further. Nothing you delete on your phone is ever totally gone. But because of the plea deal, that stage of the investigation never was reached. So just to keep in mind for those who say, there was never any evidence that pointed towards Nicole being involved, blah, blah, blah. Well, you can't have evidence when an investigation is incomplete. So let's start with this synopsis. So this is August 17th, 2018. Now, the murders took place on the 13th. So it was a couple days later. This is a phone conversation. So it says, Colorado Bureau of Investigation, Kevin Kobach spoke with Nicole Kessinger by telephone. I interviewed Nicole at the Thornton Police Department on the previous day, and Nicole called saying that she had recalled more information regarding this case. Remember, she kept doing that. Like throughout the weeks, all of a sudden, all this stuff starts rushing back, and she remembers this and she remembers that. Once she's had time to go home and kind of scheme and plot things. My interview with Nicole was audio recorded, and the audio recording is attached to this report. This interview was also then sent out for transcription as of August 22nd, 2018. The following is a summary of the interview. For the exact account, refer to the audio recording. So we've listened to bits and pieces of that. We'll examine it further, but let's just read the summary here in the discovery. Nicole admitted to talking to her friend Charlotte about Chris and his children. So she, takes back her lie where she says that none of her friends knew about him and does admit that Charlotte did. Nicole recalled on August 13th, 2018, she and Chris FaceTimed. During the call, Chris was laying on a mattress that did not have any sheets on it. Chris said he was cleaning his home and trying to keep busy to keep his mind off things. Nicole inquired why the bed in the video call did not have any sheets on it, and Chris told her he had washed the sheets. Chris was quiet. Now, all this stuff that she's remembering, when you have your first interview, how are you not remembering that he was washing sheets just a few days prior? So I think that this is Nicole trying to sway the investigation into thinking that something happened on those beds with those sheets. I personally don't think that was the case. I think it's unfortunate that Chris was in the house cleaning. I definitely think that he probably got rid of evidence. But I just don't think that the children died in their beds. I think that they left when you see the shadow in Nate's footage. And the dog picked up a live scent, not a cadaver scent, in the truck. So I think the children left with Chris alive. In this whole narrative by NK, like trying to paint this picture of him washing sheets for whatever reason. Remember, she didn't come out with this information until days later after her own interview. So the fact that you're not remembering this stuff right when it's vital and important, it's questionable to me. Okay. Chris was quiet during the video call and did not say much. Nicole said Chris was fixated on her and staring at her during the video call. You kind of do just stare at each other when you're FaceTiming, but okay. Nicole and Chris says Chris is always cleaning his home and keeps it very clean, so did not think anything of it. Did not think anything of Chris doing this after his family went missing. Chris also told Nicole he had to wash the children's sheets as they smell. And that is a quote that Nicole said in her phone interview. He said that Chris said they smell. Nicole was suspicious of that comment as Chris was so clean. She did not know why the kids' sheets would smell dirty. Nicole said during a phone conversation on Monday, August 12th, with Chris, he was talking about Nicole Atkinson and her son coming to the home and finding Shanann, Bella, and Celeste missing and then calling the police. During this conversation, Chris said he arrived home and Atkinson came into his home and was running all over the house, up and down the stairs. During this conversation, Chris said blankets were missing from his kids' rooms. Nicole asked if Atkinson's could have taken the blankets, and Chris responded he believed that Shanann had taken the blankets. I asked Nicole if Chris went to a specific gym. She did not know if Chris ever went to a gym and denied going to a gym with Chris. So that's interesting because a lot of people believe that they met at a gym. And when she's talking about finding an apartment for Chris, she says, near the gym, not near a gym. She says the gym. So I believe that she's lying about this whole meeting him at a gym personally. She said Chris worked out in his basement. Nicole said I asked Nicole if Chris used any steroids or Nicole said she uses his 24-hour fitness at 120th and ran in Broomfield, Colorado. I asked Nicole if Chris used any steroids or narcotics. She said she did not know. So that's not a no. Now, a lot of people, including myself, believe that there was drug use between them. Now, we don't have any proof of it, but it's interesting that Kobach kind of inquires about it, and she just says she didn't know. So that's not a no, and that's not a yes. So, noteworthy in my opinion. Remember, she knew everything about him. So why would she not be like, no, absolutely not? She referred to Chris always using Thrive and said he always had 2 patches stuck on him all the time. Chris told Nicole Thrive had helped him lose weight. I asked Nicole if she and Chris had gone to Colorado Rockies game on the 11th. She said that then they did not. They went out to dinner at the Lazy Dog Bar. She said Chris told the babysitter he was going to the Rockies game so no one would find out about their relationship. After my conversation with Nicole, she requested assistance dealing with the trauma from this case. I spoke with CBI victim advocate Hazel Heckers. Hazel agreed to initially speak with Nicole and to assist her with finding assistance through the Weld County Victim Assistance Board. On August 17th, I assisted other members of the CBI with the preparation of search warrants in this case. The warrants were forwarded to Frederick Police Department for filing and service. Charlotte was later identified as Charlotte Nelson. Phone, nothing further. And then we will skip to another page. So sorry if I haven't seen your guys' comments. Give me 1 second. I will pull those up while I get the next page ready. And this one refers to the synopsis of speaking with Charlotte. So, and then it goes into their text messages, which are kind of random all over the place. You can kind of see like some of them seem to be missing. So just more evidence of Nicole deleting things. Hi, Natasha, and everyone else who's here. Yeah, I think Chris gravitated towards NK because she was into dark stuff. I think so too. They spent every waking minute with him, July 2018. How would she not know if he was using drugs? Exactly. And the fact that she wasn't like insistent on it, I love this sarcasm. Yeah, NK seems like a straight edge, clean and sober, sort of healthy lifer. Right, with a DUI under her belt and calling rehab centers on her phone records. And Tasha believes substances were involved. James, this topic came from your suggestion, so thank you so much for suggesting this topic. There's a lot of topics for us to go through. He frequently worked out at a gym when Sandy and Frank lived in the basement. Yes, and even if they met at a park, we know that he frequently went for runs. Just a lot of different scenarios of them meeting outside of work, because we know that just didn't happen. If you're looking up Chris a year before the murders and more than 6 months before you ever work with him, you must have known him somewhere. And Chris didn't go anywhere really besides work, gym, and home, I totally think their first meeting was totally orchestrated by NK and no coincidental at all. She stalked his ass. I think so too. She knew everything Shanann posted on Facebook and memorized a lot. Yes. She is. And she reminds me of the classic movie, Fatal Attraction with Glenn Close, remember? NK is a Lifetime movie side chick stalker. Yes. All right. Continuing on. Now, I do have to give a little warning. This conversation between NK and her girlfriend, Charlotte, it will have some explicit material in it. So again, I've got my camera off, so you can't really see me blushing while I'm reading some of this. But yeah, they talk how girlfriends talk. All right, synopsis. This was on September 5th. I was asked to assist by speaking with Charlotte Nelson. Nelson is a friend of Nicole Kessinger, and the two exchanged text messages about the relationship between Kessinger and Chris Watts. I was provided a packet of texts involving 720, which I was advised was that of Shanann Watts. I, Agent Galabrath, subsequently reviewed the content. The records are somewhat confusing, as some of the correspondence is clearly with 720, but other times it's with, and then it lists another number. However, the contents appears to indicate that the person is the same as the one communicating from 720 based upon the conversation flow. 720 is the number of Charlotte Nelson. The texting is on 8/12. So the texting is a day before everything takes place. I'm not certain of the time zone in which the records are formatted. Some of the content is undecipherable. Based upon the numbers, it is difficult to say for sure if the texts are from Nikki or Charlotte, but the content lends to context and the author, Nikki. So the synopsis so far is this agent is trying to figure out the review of these text messages. I'm assuming because NK deleted stuff that when they pull back things through Celebrate, etc., it pulled back very confusing. So here we go. Okay. Been kind of hanging out with a guy recently, keeping it a secret. Dude loves to eat. You guessed it. I'll highlight the word. Never met a man that does till now. I just let it happen, LOL. Then Charlotte says, where did you meet this man? And isn't that, the question we all want to know? Yeah, so how'd you guys meet? Doesn't answer. Ate me out my one time. See, it's like even their text messages don't even make sense. I don't know, man. Sean never. Oh, okay. So this is how it goes. I don't know, man. And it's all scrambled. I don't know, man. Sean never ate me out one time. So Sean is the guy that she was seeing before Chris, who she claims wouldn't commit to her. Charlotte, guys are lame with that stuff. I don't think it's you, man. Some just, and then it doesn't complete. And then Nikki says, feel like every dude I meet has kids these days. Now, these are the text messages that really, it's like knowing what takes place in this crime, seeing the mistress speak not so highly of the children or kids in general, it's alarming. This is sort of the red flag that's on the thumbnail. Like when I see text messages like this regarding her, not so keen on the fact of dating a guy with kids, and then this guy ends up allegedly killing his kids. I can't help but wonder, like, was there any influence in that decision based on her own personal views of how, she feels about dating guys with kids. She even said something in another interview with Agent Kobach that sometimes it was annoying because she would have to wait to talk to Chris once all the kids were in bed and he wasn't spending time with them. So she hasn't really hidden her, not dislike. I can't flat out say like she disliked kids, but there is hints and a vibe that I get from her own statements that pretty much lends me to think like she wasn't fond of children. And when there's a case that involves dead children and we all are, kind of trying to piece together how everything took place and why everything took place, these messages are very significant, I feel, in our research and understanding of perhaps conversations that was being said by NK to Chris, or a vibe that maybe Chris was picking up from her. Just think that they matter. Hi, Zawoki. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Okay. Just feel like every dude I meet has kids these days. And if they don't, they have commitment issues or some BS like Sean. So then again, we get more kind of messages that don't really make sense. Cute, Maine. It's a package deal, though. What's the dude's name? Okay, so here's how it goes. What's the dude's name? Kids are cute, Maine. It's a package deal, though. That's awesome, Maine. Now they call each other Maine. I think it's supposed to be like, hey, man, like sort of like a slang of like, your buddy. Kids are good. I think the fact that he cares for his kids, I think is good. I think. He's all about his kids. That's cool. How old are they? Never responds to that question either. Unless it was deleted and never pulled back, like using different software to do so. How old is he? 33, I think. You don't think, you know. You know his birthday. You know the year he was born. You probably know the time he was born. I just feel like, okay, here's another red flag. I just feel like I will always be second place. Like he's been there, done that. It's early though. We will see. He is very kind to me though. And he works out, so he's super sexy. Don't tell nobody. Haven't made up my mind yet on him. Like he seems too good to be true. Haha, yeah. And so here she says, haha, yeah, it's the best sex I've ever had. I'm hooked. But we don't see Charlotte's question. So this, it's just more proof of things that kind of have been like altered and deleted. Again, it could have been brought back had they used federal resources, but at this point, they never, they never continued it. So we know that this is the best sex that Nikki's ever had. I haven't, and then I don't know what the rest of that message is. She asks her if she's used the pillow yet. And she's asked like what kind of pillow. So there's something to do with a pillow that was being suggested for her to try. So then it goes on to say, I received a call from Charlotte. I had left Charlotte a message and texted her prior to her call to me. Charlotte met Nikki in high school. They were not as close as they are now. Charlotte moved to Aruba and moved back around 2006. and she and Kessinger got in contact. Kessinger is Charlotte's best friend. They text a lot but do not see each other, but maybe once every month or two. Charlotte knew why I would be contacting her. I asked her how this case is sitting with her. She told me it is a horrible situation and is very upsetting. She was worried about Nikki. Charlotte said that Nikki got caught up with the wrong person at the wrong time, and it is just devastating. And I asked if Charlotte knew that Nikki had been dating Chris. Charlotte explained that Nikki was working as a contractor for Anadarko. Kessinger had told Charlotte that she was seeing a guy at work at some point. Kessinger did not say who, and Charlotte never met him. Charlotte says news about this case and heard that guy worked at Anadarko, and Nelson wondered if Kessinger knew the guy. So Nelson's Charlotte's last name. Kessinger called Nelson and let her know that the media may try to get in contact with her about the case. Nelson said Kessinger said she could not discuss much about the case with her. Charlotte told me that her father died a couple weeks ago and she had been drinking a lot to deal with things right now. Charlotte said that she looked back and Kessinger had sent her a photo of Kessinger and a guy she was seeing. We've never seen that photo. We have never seen this photo that they're referring to. Nelson agreed to go back through her text messages and screenshot the conversation she has with Kessinger. So that's the other thing, is that's why their texts kind of look incomplete, because they received all that from screenshots. Now, if this had gone further and the investigation was really done, in a completion, the screenshots would have been used, but also they probably would have gotten a warrant and, got every single text messages, everything outside of the screenshots would have come through. Kessinger had told Nelson that the guy she was seeing had a couple kids. Nelson knew Kessinger to like kids, and she seemed in favor of it. Kessinger said he was a really nice guy, and she did not seem to mind that he had kids. Nelson said that she did not say much, as she tends to let people live their lives. Nelson did not think it was a smart of Kessinger to date someone she worked with, since she liked her job here. But Charlotte did not tell Kessinger that. I asked if Kessinger spoke of the guy's marital status to Nelson. Kessinger did not at the time, but Kessinger has since told Charlotte that the guy had told Kessinger that he was separated from his wife. Kessinger did not provide Nelson details of the relationship as to where they spent time, when they spent time, and how they spent time, or if they were intimate, which isn't true because she was talking about the oral sex that they had. Anyways, she said that she did not know and she did not ask. What? Nelson and Kessinger just got out of a relationship, and Nelson just tells her to tell her what she wants to share. Nelson described Kessinger as private. I told Nelson that I had some contacts from their text messaging between her and Kessinger. I read one about it being the best sex Kessinger had ever had, and the one about oral sex. Nelson reminded me that her dad died and she had been drinking heavily. She told me that she actually barely remembers the text with Kessinger. How convenient. Nelson told me that Kessinger dates a lot in the past. She has not had the best of luck with men. She has dated, so Nelson typically does not ask about details. I read the following text to Nelson. Nikki, I feel like every dude I meet has kids these days. And if they don't, they have some sort of commitment issues or some BS like Sean. I asked Charlotte for some context to that text, as it seemed like a man with kids may be a negative thing based upon the words in the text alone. Charlotte said that she did not think that Kessinger was against him having kids, and Kessinger wants kids too. She just had bad luck with men in the past. Kessinger wants to find someone, and when she does, it turns out that the guy is lying or something. Kessinger seems to take it upon herself and feel like she is picking the wrong guys. Charlotte encourages Nikki that she will find someone. Charlotte does not think the BS part in the text was meant as a negative, in that Nikki felt the guy having kids was a negative. Charlotte did not think that Kessinger actually met the guy's kids. She has no idea when or where Kessinger and the guy hung out together. Nelson figured that if it was working out, she would hear more about the guy from Kessinger. Kessinger did not tell Nelson anything about the guy's wife in their texts. I asked Kessinger how Kessinger is doing. Charlotte told me that she is a mess and says she cannot say much about the case. Charlotte thinks Nikki feels partially responsible, as maybe he went crazy because Nikki came into the picture. Nikki liked the guy. Charlotte thinks Nikki needs a good therapist. See, I feel like Charlotte was prepped by Nicole. Or I'm sorry, Charlotte was prepped by NK before all this, because she's like, oh, I don't know how they met. I don't know where they hung out. I don't know anything about them being intimate. And then Kovac pulls up the text and says, well, what about this? Oh, well, my dad just died and I've been drinking a lot, so I don't even remember that. It's just very convenient. Text messages, even from the agent's synopsis, pretty much says like it's kind of hard to decipher. Like things seem to be, all over the place, aka missing. I asked if there was any indication that Nikki may want to maintain a relationship with the guy. Charlotte said that Nikki wants to cooperate to the fullest to make sure he stays in jail. I thanked Nelson for her time, and she agreed to send me screenshots of her text with Kessinger. Nelson promptly got back to me to provide, hi, Agent Calibrath. This is Charlotte Nelson. I'm looking through my phone, and the latest text messages I have from Nikki start on August 21st. See, the latest she's saying is August 21st, but what was pulled up was before that. So stuff was deleted. And we mostly talk about my dad passing away and my family issues, and that she is concerned with the media. I probably deleted the whole conversation. Nikki asked me to. And to delete pictures we have together on Facebook because the media was calling her friends to get information. I know about the text messages we talked about because yesterday evening I got your voicemail. And when Nikki came over later that night, I told her you had called and I wanted to verify that it was actually the CBI. So Nikki goes over to talk to her in person. After she had made sure, I'm sure that she deleted everything. CBI calling me, and not a scammer trying to get information. I asked her why you would be calling me, and she said it could be because of the text messages we exchanged. And then she showed me. I'm sorry, I don't have any messages before that. Would you like me to still send you everything starting the 21st? No, why would we want stuff after the murder takes place? Wow. Also, I left you a voicemail regarding a question I have. My question is, if the text messages you have are going to be made public, I shared very personal information about mine and my boyfriend's intimate life, and I am concerned about what I responded. I'm concerned about what will be released. Please let me know and call me with any other questions. I responded, stand by on text from the 21st. Let me consult my partner. Thank you for getting back to me on the matter. On September 7th, I attempted to clarify with Charlotte. I asked her why you would be calling me, and she said it would be because of the text messages we exchanged, and then showed me. I texted Nelson and called her. The phone went straight to voicemail, like it was off. On September 7th, Charlotte responded. She showed me the old text messages on her phone the night before when she was here at my house, and she had went to Verizon earlier that same day so she could get a new phone since the one she had wasn't working well. How convenient. NK's phone needed to be replaced. It must be the messages were backed up and transferred over to the new phone. Ridiculous. Just looking to see if there's anything else regarding Charlotte. Now, we never have the audio recording of Charlotte. We only have what's written in here, and that's it. So that we never hear Charlotte's voice. We never see Charlotte. Right. 4 humans lost your life. Get over yourself. Exactly. All concerned about her intimate conversations. Why? Because you guys talked about some pillow use. Have you tried the pillow yet? Actually, let me read the exact text. Didn't try the pillow thing yet. Does it need to be a specific pillow? LOL. So, Charlotte's all worried about her text getting out, but, a family's dead. It's just an excuse. I really think that Charlotte was prepped by NK. Charlotte says, if this stuff's going to be made public, I had intimate conversation. It's all just coming from NK, I think. So this is on Crime Talk. This I'm going to play because they kind of talk about the messages. And I really think, I'm just going through your guys' messages in chat since I was reading. And thank you, Roxanne, for sharing that. Appreciate you. Yeah, how would deleting the pics change that? Would the press suddenly forget if she deleted them? And why was Charlotte told to delete things? What was in that picture, that didn't need to be seen? Ridiculous. I can bet her behavior isn't new. Exactly. Yeah, she needs a good therapist. See, that's exactly another reason why I think she was prepped, like, how's Nikki doing? Kobach, or that agent asked. Oh, she's good. And, she feels like she's partially to blame. She really needs a good therapist. I mean, that was just kind of fed to her. I wouldn't be surprised if Nikki wasn't sitting right there for their phone conversation. Thank you, guys. I'm just looking through your comments before we play this. I think that that's highly probable too, Letitia, that they were doing psychedelics, anything really. Some people even speculate harder drugs than that. Won't list them, but you guys can probably figure it out. Hi, Laya, and everyone else who joined. She knew everything. She was a stalker. Exactly. Yeah, I definitely think that Jim may have been even in some of these pictures that she was told to delete. Who knows, right? Oh, Jen, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. I really appreciate that. And welcome to those new members. And if you're able to thank Jen, she's right here in chat. Melanie's here. Roxanne's saying hi to her. Post a link where you get the pillows. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Let's carry on. The male detective really fell for her act. She wanted everyone to delete everything. Exactly. And the thing, too, is she claims that she told Chris claims that she told him to delete everything. And then he says in the prison interview, he's like, but I didn't. Probably to help you guys out. Speaking to CBI and FBI and Detective Baumhover. And he's like, and then he goes, but it's like, yeah, we have never seen a full forensic detail or poll from Chris's phone. And if there's stuff on there that he was told to delete and he never did, I find it very interesting that we never get to see all that. Thank you, Zawoki, gifting 5 memberships. I appreciate you very much. And if you guys haven't checked him out, he definitely does his own Watts deep dives as well. And welcome to those new members. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. And if you can thank Zawoki, he's right here in chat, so that'd be awesome if you guys got a membership too. Yeah, NK knew more than what she is saying. I agree. Cat's life. Yeah, she's not only a Google queen, she's a deleting queen. Yes. I remember she's claims, which we'll have to go through. It's always fun going through her little notes that she wrote out to law enforcement. In those notes, Chris came over to my house with a box of condoms. I checked the date on the condoms. And then I Googled how long condoms last for, blah, blah, blah. Like she was trying to detect like how long he had them. Had he been using them with shenanigans? It's just so bizarre. We'll get into that too. There's so much to get into, guys. A lot to go through. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much for that super chat. I enjoy your content. Thank you. Thank you so much. I enjoy you being here and your guys' support. Yeah, I would love to see his phone text. Exactly. Let's see what everything is on there. We have some of them in the discovery, but it's picked and chosen by, remember, the discovery is from the prosecution side that we have. That is their narrative. Yes, it's based on factual information, but it's only their narrative. We don't have the other side of things. And we don't have DNA full forensics and all that either. All right, guys. Okay, now let's do what we all love to do. Thank you, Bean Biogirl. You're awesome too. Every time I think of her, I think, yeah, right, lady. Exactly. And that's perfect comment for what I was just about to say. Now, she's very hard to listen to. We kind of do her in small increments. So this whole interview is, over an hour, I'm sure. We're not going to listen to all that. We've already been on for 42 minutes. So we're going to listen to a little bit of her, deal with what we can, and then just discuss things. So what's going to happen here is Kobach is going to come into the room and he's going to pretty much talk about her phone and his concern in those conversations that she was having with Charlotte as well. So we're not the only ones that are kind of like, okay, so what did you mean by this? You feel like you're going to be always second. You don't, it doesn't sound like you really like kids, in my opinion. So when there's children who have been killed, this sort of is a topic that needs to be kind of questioned about. And of course, she plays it off. Oh, no, it wasn't like that. Hi, Rachel, and everyone else who's here. Yeah, fingers in your ears. No. She just has, gosh, I don't even need to explain it. You guys already know. So here we go, guys.
All right. Tech guy's coming to help us.
I would do it myself, but it's like there's so many different knots. I haven't used this phone in years.
Okay.
Like right now,
So it's not very new?
This is old.
Okay.
I haven't used this since like 2016. And so all these numbers on here are numbers of people I've gotten since then. What I don't want is with like the media and all this other stuff going on, is have a phone just full of unknown contacts.
Sure, I get it.
Like,
so he's gonna come over and turn your Wi-Fi on and figure out how to move.
all that.
He knows
Okay, I'll just let him do that. I give up.
Okay. So your phone this time, do you have any objections to us looking at everything in your phone?
Why do you guys need that? I'm just curious. Like,
Why do you guys need my phone? I'm just curious. Well, I don't know. There's a quadruple homicide and you're the mistress. What in the world? And isn't it so funny? She's like, yeah, I give up. So the tech guy's going to come and take her stuff and figure out things. She gives up. Mind you, this is after she's deleted stuff, asked other people to delete things, after she, allegedly broke her SIM card, had to go to Verizon, get things transferred and replaced. And then she's had time to kind of go through and probably delete more things and kind of hide whatever she wanted to be shared. Now, again, we go back to things are never officially gone when you delete things. And that is 100% true. We dug through how they used the secret calculator app and they used that to communicate with each other. It also had a private internet browser on it. And that's where Chris was putting intimate photos of them together, hiding it in his phone. And we went through in the discovery files where it basically says, you would need a subpoena and warrant to pull out everything that was being said and done in that app. And then never went to that stage. So the same thing when it comes to her phone that she ends up getting replaced with a SIM card, new SIM card and all that. Like there might have been more resources and avenues that they could have taken to kind of dig more into her and what exactly was deleted, etc. But once that plea deal was signed, everything ends as far as the investigation. So that's why I feel like a lot of people are still holding on to like, okay, there's more to this because we don't get everything that was deleted. If we got everything that was deleted and we're able to see it transparently and but, oh, okay, well, I guess there really isn't anything pointing to anything weird. That'd be one thing, but we just don't have that. Thank you, Jay. 5 more memberships. Everybody who received one, make sure you thank Jay. Thank you so much. One of my best moderators and commenters on this case for sure. Cynthia, thank you so much for the super sticker. Appreciate you. Yeah, the accusatory voice. Why would you guys need that? How can you, first off, I love your picture, the dog. How can you even ask that question? She has no heart and no soul. I want to help you guys out as much as I can, she says in her first interview. And then her dad says, but we want to make sure that we're protected. No, you should just want to help out because a pregnant woman and her 2 kids were found dead. It's absurd every time I listen to this stuff. And again, it's been so long. Yeah, she doesn't give a shit about the lives lost. No, she doesn't. I would arrest her because of that question. How is Kobach just so chill? Like, he's got to be thinking, like, you're disgusting.
we need everything as opposed to stuff.
Well, because it's easier to get it. And if we're looking at all the material, let's say I take everything off your phone, I can put a date in, like let's say August 10th through the 15th, because those are critical days. But other conversations between you and Chris, or other text messages between you and Chris from June or July, then it makes it harder for me to find all those. Do you understand what I mean? It's easier for them to just take everything. I don't know. Are they?
Yeah. I mean, except for when I first met him and it was his APC thing.
Okay. And then what about your phone log? It's always his 9M0 number.
All the time.
Right.
Like it's always that one, or originally was his.
We talked about your GPS locating, like knowing where your phone is at certain times.
I mean, you guys can have all that. I just was like, oh my God, I have so many texts on here between me and all my friends. I'm like, do they really want all this stuff?
Well, is there anything in those texts that you...
Who cares what you have to say with all your friends? Like, this is a murder investigation. And isn't it funny? He's like, we want to find out like where your phone was, the GPS and all that. And she's like, that's fine. You can have all that. Well, yeah, because you replaced the phone. So anything that we try to get off of the phone isn't actually the one that you were using. So I think that also has something to do with her being so, yeah, you can have all that. Yeah. Hey, Valerie.
Be concerned with.
Not really.
So, well, not really, or yes or no?
No, I mean, like, the other day, my dad and I just had to do some damage control because a lot of people were like, hey, please call me, I don't know what to say. And I just told them all, like, I didn't say anything. I pretty much just said, if mediators contact you, tell them no comment. I was like, please be nice to them. Like, you do not need to talk to them. It was like, I'm safe, not in trouble, I've been breaking laws. And I was just like, just send your love and support. And that was all I said to people.
So did that prompt all the phone calls of people going,
No.
are you okay?
They were prompting me.
Right. And
That
that's
is why I did that, because I didn't even want to like say that, but I was getting all sorts of texts from people that were like, media's trying to contact me, I don't know what to do. I didn't tell them that I was a witness. I didn't tell them anything about that. It was just.
And there we have it. Something that we've picked up a long time ago. I didn't tell them I'm a witness or anything about that. So she's under the impression at this point, she's working for the state. And that's why District Attorney Rourke continues to protect her. And, what was going to be the deal was they were going to paint Nicole Kessinger just like Amber Frey. And just like Amber Frey testified against Scott and worked with the prosecution against Scott, that's the avenue and the tactic that I believe Rourke was hoping to do with NK. But there's a huge difference between NK and Amber Frey, and that is, it seems like NK took it upon herself to kind of cover things up, delete things, take statements back, change her statements, remember things days and days later. So I think there was a lot of red flags that ended up coming up, and Rourke is like, oh my gosh, like, this trial is not going to go my way. We need a plea deal. We need a plea deal. We need it ASAP. Not to mention probably pressure from the oil companies saying, like, we don't want to be pulled into any of this. Like, shut this down. Again, that's my opinion, but here she basically says, I was a witness. We see her on the witness list for the prosecution. And yeah, it's just a shit show. I think she was freaking out that Chris would implicate her, so she beat him to the DA. Yes, let me get in there and paint myself as this victim too, and make sure that, I'm believed first. Definitely could see that as well.
Just say no comment. I need you to do this.
Okay.
And then a couple of my like super, super close friends, I asked them if they would be courteous enough to take all the pictures that we had of each other off Facebook and social media, and they said yes. And that was like a couple of really close friends.
Is there any text messages between you and friends that reference anything that would be concerning regarding this case?
No.
Like talking about Chris? I think you've told me that you've never even really talked with
my friends about him. No, and like my friend's dad died last night, like yesterday.
I'm not worried about that.
No, I know, but she started like, oh my God, she was really drunk last night. She started.
Ridiculous. So he's, talking about, you told me that your friends didn't really even know about Chris. And she's like, yeah. And, my friend's dad died. Okay, change the topic real quick away from the fact that your friends actually did know about Chris. Like, it's very obvious the way she wants to steer things. And remember her, oh no, leave Jim alone, leave him alone. He had nothing to do with this. So now they're talking about her friends knowing Chris again. And she brings up, oh, well, my friend's dad died. And he's like, I'm not, concerned about that. It's like, it's just ridiculous. Exactly, Jay. It's like, just stop with the deflection, lady. Okay, Jen, thank you so much for listening and for gifting those memberships. Yeah, I feel Chris shows little emotion because he definitely wasn't alone in this, in my opinion. Wow, that's a good point. Like he's like detached because he's only partially involved or he only did a certain amount. I definitely agree with you there. Definitely. So the other thing too is you guys talking about yeah, I know. I feel like James, he was really frustrated with her and I think he also had his hands tied. Um district attorney telling him how to handle her. She's a witness for us, so, be gentle on her, blah, blah, blah. But I think that he wanted to go harder on her and just couldn't. Um, but yeah, you guys talking about the Lacey Peterson and Scott Peterson documentaries. I haven't been able to watch them yet, but I want to. Maybe we should do a live stream about those. What do you guys think? I'm just scrolling up. I want to make sure I get to read Valerie's. Her telling him to look up the Battery lyrics to Metallica and him sending her the pic at Anadarko that morning are huge red flags. Everything she did was sketchy. I'll never think she wasn't involved. I know. You really can't persuade. Like, there's other cases where you can say, well, have you thought about this? What about that? And I'll be like, yeah, you know what? I guess I am open to that being a possibility. There's nothing that anyone can say or do that will make me think that NK wasn't involved. It's kind of like, come on. He was told from district attorney 100%, but he knew what she really was. I think so too. Yes. Hi, Deco. Good to see you. Yes, Katie K. Has anyone ever noticed when he, Kobach, is looking in her phone, she reaches over to scroll to something and she touches his hand. He flinched and retracted his hand when it happened. Yes. She does that in her first interview too. She like grabs a notepad that one of the officers was like using, something very like, she's just like an abrasive, aggressive person. The more I look at her, the more I can see her walking out of the garage, right? And which is, I think, why Chris was freaking out in Nate's living room. There are a lot of possibilities, but she was definitely involved in some way, in my opinion. I agree. Even if you don't agree with like my explosion theory and, other theories that I have, I think that a lot of people and I are on the same page with like her being sketchy, pretty much.
I was like freaking out. She's like, I don't know what's going on in your life. She's like, I don't know if it pertains to this case. And she like just sent me like a screenshot of a news article of that case. And she was just like,
Did you guys hear that? She sent me a screenshot of an article on that case. That case? You mean Chris's case? Shanann, Bella, Cece? The one that you're involved in? She can't even say like anything, about this case. She calls it that case. Talk about distancing.
she's like,
What about conversations?
I didn't mention that it had anything to do with that. She's like, I don't know if that's what it is. He works at Anadarko. She's like, I really don't give a shit. She's like, I just really need you to be here with me and my dad and this and this and this. And she was just kind of upset because I had asked her to please say no comments in the media, and it happened to be like right when her dad died, and I think she was feeling a little like, yeah, but I mean, you guys can read this. There's nothing in there of me actually saying anything about it. I just told
What's your phone number on that phone?
720, it's the same phone number that's on this one, 656-9605. So no, I mean, you guys can listen.
So there was a conversation that I asked you about between you and Charlotte too.
That's the same girl.
That same girl who was freaking out.
Yeah.
So was there ever a conversation about kids with you and Charlotte? Like you, I can't remember the exact context, but
I
you guys
told her
were
I was
talking.
hanging out with a guy who had kids.
Okay. And what?
She has not even like put.
Wait, all right. So your conversation about him having kids, how did that go?
I mean, I don't know. I just told her.
Is it still? Did you delete that, or is it still?
No. I have no reason to delete anything else on my phone. The only reason I deleted all this stuff with Chris is because he was making me feel really uncomfortable, and I didn't want to see it in my phone anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me scroll all.
No. The reason I deleted is because, seeing them in my phone made me really uncomfortable. Well, then don't open your texts. Like, why did you delete the ones with Charlotte? Because they made you don't have to look at your text windows. It's not like you pick up your phone and they're just screaming at you. Her excuses just don't make any sense. I agree, Deco. NK acts so detached about the actual victims. They didn't stand a chance. Agree, Cynthia. She's even nonchalant talking about her supposed best friend's father passing away. Exactly. You are so right. She's like, I don't know. She was just kind of like, upset and like drunk. Yeah. Yeah, are there two phones on the table in front of NK? Yes, she had replaced her phone and her SIM card and then brought in an old phone of hers. So as much as it looks like, yeah, she's helpful in handing things over, she was able to doctor and fix things beforehand. Oh, Vicky VA, good to see you. Her vocal fry makes my ears bleed. It's rough. He was making her feel uncomfortable. I thought she was past because she found out Shanann was pregnant. Right. There's been 2 excuses that she's saying. She was pissed, I think you were saying. You're right. There's 2 reasons why she deleted stuff. I deleted things because it was the lie that he told me that made me delete them. Like about her finding out that Shanann was pregnant. And here, they were making me feel uncomfortable. She's got an excuse for why she deleted stuff with Chris and then why she's deleting stuff with Charlotte. Feel like she's using this Charlotte stuff, like feeling uncomfortable why she deleted it with Charlotte. No one's asking you to open up your text messages. You know what I mean? April, thanks so much for that. I really appreciate that super sticker. And thank you for being here. And she's just out free. Yeah. She's just walking amongst the public. Just a really nice citizen out there. Why wouldn't they have used burner phones the day of the murder? My theory on that is because the explosion would have looked like a work accident. And so they didn't use burner phones because they didn't expect their plane to fall apart. Like there would be no need for them to take Chris's phone or her phone and, go through things because it would have been set up like a work accident and all the focus would have been at Servi 319 and the explosion, which is why I think we see her in Nate's footage because she's walking out of the garage, not hiding because the crime scene wouldn't have been focused there at the house. Once the explosion takes place, everything would have been at Servi and it would have been like, oh, Anadarko had another fracking accident and explosion. So that's just my opinion. Other people might have a different reason why.
Way back here, man, this girl talk a lot. No, she's like.
So let's just, while we're here, because we talked about this before, but we didn't talk about the specific context of what that message said regarding to children. So obviously, in the situation that we're looking at now with the death of 2 children and all the other circumstantial stuff going around in the case, I just want to make sure there was no comments ever made by you regarding, children or dislike of children or love of children, either way. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I guess. Let me find it. I think this is going to start.
So he's like, I just want to make sure there wasn't any conversation about dislike of children and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And she's like, yeah, I guess. What do you mean you guess? Do you not understand the severity of what took place here? Children gone. You're involved with the man who allegedly did all this. And she, oh, you know, why do you need all this? Yes, the 111-minute conversation was the night of the murders. So it took place Sunday night, ended around 11 p.m. Shanann was supposed to be home around then, but her flight got delayed because of the windstorms. She doesn't get home until 1:48 in the morning on Monday.
You guys can just take whatever you want off of there.
So it's easier for me to just take everything than it is to single it out. Plus, for the purposes of.
So I agree. Imagine 916 says, even if he succeeded with the explosion, that would not have incinerated bones. How would they explain children's bones where after they went missing, they aren't too bright? See, that's, you know, a fair question, which kind of leads me to my theory is like the children were not a part of the explosion plan. The children were not supposed to be killed. When the plan fell apart, they had seen and heard too much and needed to go as collateral damage. So in my opinion, I think Shanann was the only person, pregnant woman, who was going to be killed in the explosion. And Chris was going to carry on his life with the insurance money and a wrongful death lawsuit against the oil company for the fracking accident, just like the house explosion the year prior, which that owner got millions of dollars, and he was going to carry on with his children. That's just my opinion. I know not a lot of people agree with it, but that's where I stand.
In this case, the less exposure, you know, we already have, initially you drew concern from me when you told me you deleted everything from Chris. I've already told you that. You understand why. There's no question as to why that might cause concern. So if there's anything else that ever comes up, I have it, and then we can just discuss it. Do you understand what I mean? All right.
It's right here. She starts right there. She starts talking about her and her fiance. So that was like weeks ago. And she hasn't brought it up since really, or like connected the dots, or like said shit. I mean, you guys can look through all those texts.
Yeah, you guys can look through all those texts. Don't worry, I already deleted a lot of this stuff.
And I don't know when that was. That was definitely when things were going good. So this is like weeks prior, I'm just assuming. I think the date is at the top of whenever we started texting that day.
Looks, this is
We talk a lot.
August 7th.
Yeah.
So I reference everything to Sunday the 12th.
So that's the only conversation like that on there, I believe, on my phone. I don't think there's like anything else. And she even last night, like, still wasn't even, she's so worried about her dude.
hilarious. This comment, Letitia.
Other than that, there shouldn't really be anything on with other people, but you guys can just pull everything off that corner.
As long as you're okay with that, that's would be
I mean,
my
if that
preference.
makes your life easier.
It's not just about making it easier, it's just less. So if there's any question, like I told you before, like the two girls you just met did a lot of interviews in this case. They've done a lot of work. They may know things that I don't. There's no way we can all know everything. So they might go, oh, because somebody else was the one who told me about Charlotte and this message. So I've never read this.
Well, that's probably why.
Potentially, I'm
assuming that that's what that is. Because I said his name. And I don't even think she's put two and two together because.
No, it's not because you said Chris's name. It's because you're talking about children and not really sounding very enthusiastic about being with a guy who has kids, saying things like, I just feel like he's been there, done that. Okay. And that's very interesting. And like you guys in chat have pointed out, you said, according to Chris, that you wanted to give him a son. So how convenient. You complain to your girlfriend that he's been there, done that, and now you wanted to give him a son? Because that's something that no one had done for Chris. And yet Shanann's pregnant with a boy and she, gets killed. But this is all just coincidental.
Last night, it was just like the way she was talking. She wasn't like, this is him, this is it. She was like, I don't know what's going on. I just assume this is it because this guy looked at Anna Darko, but she is not even like processing.
She's also telling Kobach that Charlotte sent her an article about the case and said, is this him? But yet we read through the discovery from that other agent synopsis about speaking to Charlotte, and she says that there was a deleted pic of NK and Chris. So why is NK trying to play it off to Kobach that Charlotte was piecing things together because of the media about who Chris was, when we know through the other agent's analysis of the phone conversation, Charlotte knew what Chris looked like. So this is just her, lying right to Kobach.
What?
What do you mean by can tell he has a lot to take care of in life? What did you mean when you said that?
He has a mortgage and he has kids.
Okay.
Responsibility. I mean, he's a father with a house.
You're even saying in here he's all about his kids.
Yeah. And she was like asking me somewhere in there, like, I mean, everything I had to say about him at that point was like really positive. Like, I think I made it clear that I wasn't like 100% sure this was like the man of my dreams and I was going to spend the rest of my life with him or anything, but I was enjoying the time that I was spending with him at that point.
You're referencing that he has two kids and then you don't like that because you want to have that experience with somebody else? Is that what?
I just said I wasn't sure if he was the one that I wanted to be with because he had already like done everything.
Okay.
Like I was like, it would be really nice to kind of like have kids and have my own marriage and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that would be really nice. So why don't you look for a single guy who doesn't have kids and who isn't married? But instead, you're telling Chris you'd like to give him a son. After admitting even to Kobach right now, like, he's, been there, done that with everything, everything. And so I was just hoping that, it'd be nice if I could. Yeah, It'd be nice if you could give him a son and kind of cut out someone else who's trying to give him a son.
That was never anything I conveyed to him.
So you said he's handsome, huh? Did you send her a picture?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not attached here. Is that because do you think from what you
I
deleted?
think it's from when I deleted all my photos of his stuff.
He's kind of short.
I mean, I talked to her in a way that I wouldn't like talk to him as like my girl, you know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing too, is like, he's not that tall. Like, a lot of people were under the impression that he's like this big, like, you know, guy. I believe his prison report said he was 5'10".
No, I'm just teasing you a little bit.
Which is average, you know, nothing wrong with that, but it's just interesting. Kobach pointing it out too.
So now you're just talking about shoes and
Other stuff.
okay.
But then she brought it up again last night, but she didn't
Brought up what?
but she didn't like connect the dots. She was like freaking out, like her dad just died. And she was really upset. She wanted me to come see her on Saturday because it's his week.
So unexpected.
Kind of, sort of. He had Parkinson's. So kind of, but not. You know what I'm saying? It was a very drawn out thing. But she's having a really hard time with it. I knew she would. And she's like, can you make the wake on Saturday? And I was like, I'm really hesitant to leave the house. And I didn't tell her that, but I was like, I don't know. I'll try. And I'm going to go, but I'm not going to tell her until it's like right before I have to be there. And
So what did she reference that? Just Chris the guy. I'm more interested.
No, she didn't even ask me if she was just like, she's like, I don't know what's going on. She's like, you can just read it.
So you mentioned on your text before you were coming that there was other information that you thought of that was important again?
Yeah.
More info?
Get so sidetracked.
I'll look at this when you do that, and then
I'll show you where it is.
Yeah,
There's
show me
so
where it
much in here. Like, I will just say.
you guys talk a lot.
Oh, yeah. She is like right here. So first she sends me this, and she's not even asking me about him. She's saying he looks like her ex. That's when she first brings him up. She doesn't even mention me at that point. I don't even think she realizes it's the same guy. Like, legitimately. I think this girl is so wrapped up in all the stuff that she's got going on right now that I don't think it's even processing. I mean, you can just tell by the way that she, like, talks.
No, we're just more focused on what you talked about. And thank you for becoming a member, Imagine 916. Appreciate that. And I agree, Tony. Now she's trying to turn the attention on Charlotte instead of herself. Exactly. Just so, you know, you can just tell, you know, she's just very upset about everything going on. You could just tell by the way she talks. Right. Yeah. And we're trying to figure out what you were saying.
So, you know, she's all upset because I asked her to not talk to the media, and it happened to be the day that her dad died, and I'm sitting here trying to comfort her.
Is this your best friend?
Yes. This girl is like my whole world.
All right.
Me too, Vicky.
But you're not talking about children or your relationship with Chris or anything like that?
No, the only time I ever mentioned him was like that one day.
Okay.
And I didn't even remember that I even had like said that to her.
What's her phone number?
720-425-7330.
So I'm not going to call her, but at some point, you might want to talk to her, just so you know. I mean, sooner or later, she's going to connect the dots, or you're going to tell her, right, if she's your best friend.
I'm not going to tell her. If she figures it out, she figures it out.
Okay. If we were going to talk to her, I'd let you know beforehand. Is that fair?
Yeah, just so I can give her a heads up.
Yep.
And she apologized to me, like, because she was being kind of crazy. She was.
So tell me about the new info that you remembered.
Okay, see right here, hold on. She says, look, man, I know you work at Anadarko, he did too. I know he murdered his wife and kids. I know he was a dog. I know you're my best friend. I know you have a good heart. I know that that guy needs to go to jail and he will. I know you don't want publicity and neither would I. I know that as a witness, if you say anything, it can cause a mistrial. I know you don't want that.
More talk about her being a witness. I know that you being a witness, if you say anything, it could cause a mistrial. So more proof of our theory that, District Rourke had her under his wing from very, very early on and wanted to use her like Amber Fry for their trial.
Neither do I. Fuck the media. I want my best friend here. I never fucking said anything to her about a trial.
Okay.
So,
but
see, look, she goes, I don't even care if you flirted with him or more. I know you had nothing to do with what happened, and I don't care if your job is having an open investigation. I'm not going to ask you a single question, but my pops died and you're my best friend.
Okay.
I said, please stop talking about that. And she said, what do you want, house arrest? And she just keeps saying, my father died, what the fuck? She was not okay last night, and I was just trying to,
understandable,
mitigate this. And I was trying to calm her down. And I said, Charlotte, I'm trying so hard to be the best friend I can to you right now. I said, I want to talk to you about that case. I didn't say the case. I said that case. I wasn't even affiliated with it at all. And you need to respect that. I'm here for you regarding your dad. You know this.
That case, as if I wasn't affiliated with it at all. And then she pushes her hands away. Yeah, we know that you're trying to distance yourself from the case. We get that. The reason is why, though?
And then she's
what's
freaking out.
You guys never had a conversation except for this past text messages about Chris and his children.
No, that was it.
Okay.
That was it.
That's fine.
I mean, because he wasn't really something that I super wanted everybody to know about, and I shouldn't have even mentioned it when she brought up what she had going on sexually with her fiance, and it happened. But at that point,
you guys are best friends. It's understandable.
Yeah. See, and she keeps trying to talk about it.
I agree, Caleb. It seems MK keeps talking about Charlotte's dad to keep from talking about other stuff. Yep. I know, I agree, Katie K. I hope Charlotte kicked her to the curb. That case. She's distancing. If you aren't guilty of anything, you don't have to convince people you're innocent. Right. She does a lot of manipulating the conversations, yes. And why should we believe her when Kobach says, and this was the only time that you talked about the kids and Chris? And she's like, yes, that was the only time. Why should we believe that?
She says, if you're not under investigation by the police, I don't care. Why can't you attend your so-called best friend's father's death? It doesn't make sense to me. And all I told her was stop. She just yeah, and she just is freaking out. And finally, I just told her, getting mad at me isn't going to bring your dad back. And that is when she chilled.
Okay.
Well, she kind of went on another rant, but it had nothing to do with Chris. And then she apologized to me this morning for being drunk and sad and angry after dad died.
What other new information?
Okay, see, we got so much going on, I didn't even think I could myself because I can't predict this.
You make sure before you leave you see Hazel. You need to get some help.
I know, I've been asking. Oh, so he was talking for a few weeks, like he mentioned.
Give me a time frame.
Okay. So he went to North Carolina. When he came back from North Carolina, I was informed sometime either when he was on the trip or when he was like getting back, but in that area, that they filed for divorce and that,
Exactly. Could NK have suggested that Charlotte write that message saying she wasn't aware that the killer was indeed Chris? Yeah, I mean, I think anything that comes from Charlotte was probably prepped and rehearsed from NK first. Even text messages between them, like after the murders.
they were gonna put the house up and for sale, and he was like, she's the one that called the realtor, because he told me that he had spoke to her when he was in North Carolina about it, and then the next day she was the one who called the realtor.
When you say she, Shanann?
Yes.
And when you say the time frame they came back from North Carolina, you don't remember the specific dates, but it was like the first or second week of August?
Yeah, I think I told you guys when they left. I think he left on Tuesday, the 31st of July.
I do remember you saying that.
And I don't remember when he came home. I really don't. I don't remember if it was like...
So is this a phone conversation or is this a text conversation?
No, this happened over the phone. And he told me...
I agree, Jay.
That, that was when I had said, hey, when you go to North Carolina, I really think you should try to fix things with your wife. And he kept asking, well, what about us? And I was trying to kind of take a step back and see if he would fix things before attempting to pursue things with me, because I wanted to know that if all of these things he's saying, like, yes, we're getting separated, and yes, you know, all of these things that he's saying are happening, I wanted to know that it was like, you were doing this like you said you were prior to me coming in your life, and it had nothing to do with me, you know? And so for me, it was like, I really wanted them to fix it. I would have just like left the situation.
So tell me why.
She really wanted them to fix it. You know, she would have just left the situation. Meanwhile, she's sending him nudes while he's in North Carolina with his family. Like, come on. And the way she sits right now talking to Kobach, you know, all leaned back with her chest out. And we're supposed to believe that she deleted things because she was embarrassed of the context of it. Look at the way she talks and sits. She doesn't have that, like, demure and, like, she's shameless. Wait, she told him about the cereal for the kids she found on that day they all died. She got that text at Nate. He got that text at Nate's, remember? So yeah, that the text that you're referring to was a text that Chris sent her. And then she's asked about it and says, like, oh no, I saw this unicorn cereal and you know, that the kids would love it. And it was, OMG, that's ridiculous. They would absolutely freak out, with all these exclamation points. So Chris texted that to NK while in Nate's house. NK says it was about cereal. No one believes that. I don't believe that. She's totally avoiding questions. Yeah. And I can't take it anymore. So we'll call it a night. Yeah, she lacks compassion or any empathy. She should have left him alone until he actually got a real divorce. Exactly. I don't think it was about cereal. Me either. Bull crap. Yeah. Not demure, not cutesy. Exactly. Hi, S. Hackett. Thanks for coming in. We're pretty much closing out, so you'll have to watch the replay or just hit the like button. It's much appreciated. Yeah, the cereal makes me think she had them somewhere. Definitely possible. Every time she talks, there's more BS spills out. Lie, half truth, lie, staged BS, lie. I hate her. I know. I really wanted the man I was sleeping with and hoping to marry would fix things with his wife. Right. After telling your girlfriend, it's the best sex you've ever had, you're just going to give it up? After telling Chris you want to give him a son, you're just going to give it up? Okay. If anything, she probably asked Chris to confirm she was the reason he was leaving his wife. Side chick energy. Yeah. Exactly, Neil. She talks about sex in front of her dad for F's sake. I know. But yet people try to stick up for her and say, no, she deleted things because she was going to be embarrassed. No. Watts likely told her he was looking at the security footage and she replied, that's ridiculous. He said that to her. But I do think that they were panicking over what was seen in that footage. Thank you, Grandma Sherry. You're very welcome. Yeah, there's no shame in her game. There's not. Hey, MK. Thanks for being here. Yeah, looking for wedding dresses for hours. I believe it was 3 hours. Right, she mentioned the raunchy text with her dad right in the room. Unhinged behavior for sure. All right, guys, we are at our hour-and-a-half mark. We've listened to enough of NK's voice for the night. We have to put her away from time to time. So that's why we do this once a week. And sometimes we don't even put her voice out there because it's so horrendous. But we had to do it tonight to kind of go through her conversations with Charlotte. You guys give me comments down below for replay and those in chat right now. I mean, I think that those text messages with Charlotte display a vibe and energy from Nicole that she wasn't very keen on him having kids already. And if it's true, like Chris said, that she told him that she wanted to give him a son, then that's even more red flag to me, because she says to Charlotte, I just feel like he's been there and done that. So she would be the one to give him something that he hasn't done before. So unfortunately, Shanann being pregnant with a boy, and Kay had even more reason to maybe think, like, let's just get her out of here. I want to be the one to give you a son. I want us to do something that you've never been there and done that with, So it's just alarming to me that the messages, whether it meant anything or not, it's just something in the case that's kind of stood out to me a lot and been like, oh, didn't seem like she really liked kids. And what do you know? The kids are no longer here anymore. So, and the son that was going to be born is no longer here anymore. Yeah, the kids put a damper in her plans. It seemed like everything was good except things like that, the kids involved and stuff, and the pregnancy with the boy, all that had to go. Oh, thank you, Nana, Banana, and everyone else who's here. Thank you to all my moderators. And everyone who donated, I really appreciate that as well. Thank you, Roxanne, for sharing the baby registry for me in chat. I know that you're busy watching the game and moderating, so I really appreciate that. Yeah, but she tells Kobach she never conveyed to Watts she wanted kids. Right. So many flip-flopped statements, and not saying that we can trust what Chris says, but if there was proof in his phone of NK saying that she'd love to give him a child, that was never shared with the public, and everything on his phone was never really shared, just little bits and pieces. So she asked her friend Charlotte to delete stuff. Charlotte does. It's just a lot of red flags. All right, guys. So again, we'll dig more into this case next Thursday. It's our once a week deep dive into it. We're covering other cases as well. So tomorrow night we'll cover a different case around the same time. So join me here tomorrow night around 8:30-ish, somewhere in there. And again, thank you so much to the members, to everyone who donated, became a member, the moderators, and everyone who just participated in chat, and those who hit the like button. I really appreciate that as well. So I will see you guys tomorrow night. You guys have a good one. So bye-bye.